What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today, after a ton of recommendations, I am going ahead and bringing you a Garchomp Lucario deck from Ultra Prism. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you are new to the channel, here at TTM, we are a collaborative channel where we do a lot of different Pokemon stuff, mainly TCG, which is why you are here and clicking on this video, but we also do a plethora of draft format stuff with Jolt, coach of the Kansas City Giraffe Chiefs, who is currently doing very well in the GBA, and I have my fingers crossed he continues to do so, but also myself and Crobat for the win will post draft format as well. So if you guys like that, and occasionally Maddie and Abe show their faces with some Smogon content, but if you guys are interested in that, please consider checking us out, and also consider checking out our Discord server. There is a link in the description below, which is a link to the TTM fan server, like I said, where we have channels for all of our different draft format teams. We also have links or channels for TCG and Smogon related content. If y'all are into that, that's actually the name of the channel, which, I mean, yeah, that's the name of the channel, so unfortunately for that. But yeah, and also as for the question of the day, before I get into the question of the day, I realized that I completely forgot to shout out my good buddy who sent me some Ultra Prism codes, and I asked him what he wanted to be called, and he said that I should say that the codes came from Canada, so I guess thank you, Canada. Your politeness is greatly appreciated, and thank you for the Ultra Prism codes. You guys are awesome, but in particular that one who sent me the code, so thank you for that. And as for the question of the day, this deck is obviously centered around Garchomp and Lucario, with an obvious emphasis as well on Cynthia, and so my question of the day is kind of based around that. What Pokemon character do you guys want to see come back into the standard format as a supporter, and why? Now, admittedly, when I first thought of this question, I was like, oh, you know what I think would be really cool? I think Cyrus would be a great person to come back and be a card in the meta. And it's like, oh wait, yeah, Cyrus already is back, and he's kind of sort of on a Prism Star card, and it's like, all right, Sticks, good work there. But I think the person that I would really like to come back as a supporter would be Lance, and honestly not completely sure what exactly I would want his effect to be, but I think something along the lines of like a dragon type Karina could be really cool. Not really many dragon types in the format right now apart from the obvious Garchomp that we have right there, so maybe if dragon types got a little bit more love in some upcoming sets, I think that could work out pretty well. But I think I want to see Lance come back, and I'd be interested to see what type of effect they would give his supporter card. So yeah, Lance would be the character that I would like to see come back as a supporter card in the current meta. Let me know who you would like to see come back as a supporter and why in the comment section down below, and if you are so obliged, please tell me what effect you think they should have. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Garchomp and Lucario, and Garchomp mainly with the Royal Blades attack. 100 damage, and if you played Cynthia from your hand during this turn, this attack does 100 more damage than Cynthia. It'd be one thing if this was a bad supporter, like a mediocre supporter card, but shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 cards. It is one of the best supporter cards in the entire game right now, and arguably the best given the situation. So, I mean, it's not even that much of a boon, or it's not that much of a drawback to have to play Cynthia. You're like, oh, okay, I guess I get to play a draw supporter and hit for 200 damage. I am completely okay with that. And then we are also pairing it with Lucario with the Precognitive Aura. Once during your turn, if you have Garchomp in play, you may search your deck for a card and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. That is absolutely phenomenal. Just being like, oh, I have a Garchomp on the field, I'm just going to grab whatever I want from my deck and put it into my hand. And the combo of those two actually makes this deck pretty insanely consistent. It's surprising how often you're able to actually get set up, because you think about it, you're like, okay, there's a stage 2, there's a stage 1 that it relies on, and then Garchomp, I mean, it has 3 energy in order to be able to attack. Yeah, 200 damage is amazing, but you also have to play a specific supporter card during your turn, and you're only allowed 4 of those supporter cards in a deck. So I mean, it seems very situational, and that's what I thought at first, but the more I played this deck, the more I was like, wow, you can actually get set up and attack for a ton of damage very consistently. And also, with the fact that you have to play Cynthia to hit for 200 damage, you lose out on Guzma. This is where Lycanroc-GX comes into play with Bloodthirsty Eyes. When you play this from your hand, basically it's a Guzma effect when it evolves. And it's not even like just adding a random type of Pokemon from the deck, or to the deck, because Lycanroc also functions off Fighting Energy and DCE, so it honestly just fits right in with Garchomp and Lucario, so that's kind of cool. And these guys' synergy is actually pretty nuts. So I'm just going to go with the lines of Pokemon, just start from the Gible and go on. So we're running two different types of Gible. The first Gible we are running is the Dragon-type Gible with the Rock Hiding ability. If this Pokemon has any Fighting Energy attached to it, it has no retreat cost. Why we're using that is obvious, like you can attach energy to that Gible, and then you can just retreat out into something while you let something else take the hit or get knocked out, while you keep your energy and your potential Garchomp safe. But we are also running two copies of the Never Enough Gible, just in case we are in a position where we want to draw a couple cards. That's always nice, but more importantly, this Gible is searchable with the Brooklet Hill, so just being able to have more ways of searching out our Mons early on and get set up is always necessary. Running two of the Dragon Gabite because we 100% want to run this one because of Ascension. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. It's just an immediate Garchomp. It's another way of searching out our Garchomps and evolving them. And then as for the Garchomps, we were running 3 of the obvious Royal Blades Garchomp just to be able to hit for 200 damage over and over, but we are also running a single copy of the Turbo Assault Garchomp because of the energy. Single energy, you hit for 60 and attach an energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. This Garchomp's drawback is that you need 2 attachments in order to be able to hit for 200 damage. This Garchomp is a way of attacking, but also working around that extra energy cost, as you can attach straight from the discard pile. And also this Garchomp has free retreat, so that is pretty nice as well, and the bite off attack, if it's an EX, you're able to hit for 80 more damage. So I mean, I know that GXs are the thing now, but if your opponent happens to play an EX down, you can hit for a 160, potentially 190 with a Choice Band, which is, I mean, really, really nice, and it's just another way of attacking and accelerating stuff to our Garchomps and get set up as quickly and efficiently and consistently as possible. 2-2 of Riolu and Lucario, because of that precognitive aura being a stupidly powerful ability if you have a Garchomp in play. And then 2-2 of Rockruff and Lycanroc so that we can have the Guzma effect without actually having to play Guzma. And also we have a GX attack that we can use in Dangerous Rogue. Finally, we are running 2 Tapu Lele, basically just for first turn Lele into Brigette, because the rest of the game you will be wanting to play Cynthia in order to repeatedly get that 200 damage from Garchomp. And then with Lucario and Pal Pad, you should be able to pretty consistently draw into Cynthia, so Lele is basically there for first turn, but also can be good for late in the game if you have an available bench spot and you just need to search out a Cynthia. It's always available for that as well. 2 Evosodas to get things evolved as quickly as we can, just search them out and evolve them. 1 Field Blower because we don't like Garbodor shutting down our abilities, but honestly our opponent's tools apart from Garbodor aren't too big of an issue, so we really only need 1 Field Blower. 2 Pal Pads because we are limited to 4 Cynthia in the deck. So having Pal Pad allows us to reuse, put Cynthias back into the deck, essentially give us 8 Cynthias to work with so we can win the game off of that. 4 Rare Candy absolute max number to go straight from Gible into Garchomp as consistently as we can. 2 Rescue Stretcher to be able to recall Pokemon, just get them out of the discard pile. We have multiple options, either put them in our hand or shuffle them back into our deck if we have to discard them early or they get knocked out. 4 Ultra Ball guaranteed, get us what we want when we want. We have 3 Brooklet Hill just to get set up as quickly as possible. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I am talking way too much. You guys just want to see this deck in action. But we have 4 Cynthia, absolute max number because that's the draw support we want to be using to power up Garchomp. 2 N just for late game. If our opponent surges way too ahead, we can end them down and potentially be able to catch up. And then 2 Brigette to be able to Lele into Brigette turn 1 as consistently as possible and not be as susceptible to having a Brigette prized. 2 Choice Band to hit harder, 2 Float Stones so that we don't have to manually retreat out our Lucarios and Lycanrocs, and then 4 DCEs as well as 6 Fighting Energy just to be able to attack. So yeah, that is the deck, and let's just go ahead and see it in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Sagaru, I don't know, with a Lightning and Normal deck, and luckily we do win the coin flip, so we will get to go first. And normally I would say that we do have the type advantage, but considering the most common Lightning type that is used right now is either Tapu Koko, in which case yes, well, the regular Tapu Koko, the promo, in which case yes, we do have type advantage, but Tapu Koko GX, like all other Tapus, does not have a weakness, so that would be kind of an unfortunate situation. And okay, so I start off with something that I can actually really work with. So I have Riolu. I can Lele immediately in... Wow, this is actually perfect, because I can Lele immediately into a Brigette to get a couple Gible out, maybe a Rockruff, because I already have a Riolu out. Or I could grab another Riolu to get like double Lucarios going. I'm going to grab two Giggle. I'm going to grab two Gible, and honestly, maybe just... Yeah, I think just a Rockruff. I mean, I could have gone Riolu, that way I can Lucario into another Lucario. But I think for the time being, this is just my best play, because I can always evolve Riolu into Lucario, Rare Candy up into Garchomp, and then Cynthia, assuming... Okay, so my opponent does have Crushing Hammer randomly, which honestly makes zero sense in that deck, but it looks like we're up against an Alolan Golem Electro deck, which could be interesting. I mean, it'll be... I don't know how that's going to be, because... If I'm being completely honest, I have no idea what a Alolan Golem does. I was thinking about building a deck around it for a while, so it must be doing something that you can use it as an attacker, but off the top of my head, I do not remember right now. Regardless, my opponent is just going to attach to Sminda and then attack for 30 damage. And, ooh, here we go. So, what I can do is go ahead and Rare Candy up one Gible into a Garchomp. I'm actually going to attach the fighting to the other Gible, because I want to get my Turbo Assault Garchomp if I can. And would you look at that, I'm actually going to be able to. So let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of a Rare Candy and a Float Stone to grab the Turbo Assault Garchomp, which luckily it is in the deck, so that is very nice. This is a way that I can work around those pesky Crushing Hammers, Enhanced Hammers, those type of things. So I'm actually going to be able to play my hand down to 0 and then Float Stone up Lucario. But what is awesome is that I do have Lucario's ability, which allows me to get a single card out of my deck, and I almost forgot to use it. But for the time being, let's just go ahead and grab... I think just grab a Cynthia, because I mean it's a draw supporter. I can always grab just one thing out of my deck next turn if I need to with Lucario. And so yeah, I'm going to be able to knock out the Spinda, get my DCE back on to this Garchomp on the bench, and take a prize. So honestly, this is kind of like the perfect start, because it shows... I mean, it's showing off the little tech that I put in the deck. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people put that Garchomp into the deck. But I mean, hey, it's something that's maybe not completely 100% standard. Don't know, haven't seen a whole lot of super meta Garchomp lists. So, I mean, they could very well play that, I don't know. But my opponent is playing the Tapu Koko as well, is able to get all the way up into an Alolan Golem immediately, which is kind of cool in all honesty. But he's going to Great Ball. I mean, we're clearly not up against a super competitive deck, because my opponent is playing Great Ball. And okay, to the defense of the deck that my opponent is running, just because my opponent is running Alolan Golem does not inherently mean that my opponent that my opponent is less experienced. Like, I have tried to run an Alolan Golem deck, like just try to make it work, because it's so gimmicky and to no avail, unfortunately. However, the Great Ball does indicate to me that we are up against somebody who may not have the resources that another player would, or somebody who's been playing longer, in order to be able to build a deck optimally, because otherwise you would 100% have Ultra Ball over Great Ball in that slot. But regardless, we do have two Garchomps up, we have a Lucario up, and so we're playing this out. We're just going with it. If I can get another Garchomp up, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, I mean, I'm pretty sure that this Garchomp and the other Garchomp on the bench is going to be plenty. And worst case scenario, if my opponent does manage to get Golem out of the... Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to be able to take another prize, so that's nice, and I get a Gible, so that's even better. But if my opponent is able to knock out my... if he is able to knock out my Garchomp this turn, which unfortunately he is not, so that kind of stinks for him, I would have been able to just immediately knock that thing out with my Lucario on the bench. So what I'm going to do is, do I want to try to get a rare... No, I've already gotten rid of enough rare candies. I might as well just play it safe and Gible for right now. Do I want a Lucario first? I think I do, just to make sure that I have that fighting energy, because I'm not going to be able to one-shot Golem, I don't think, with my Garchomp, because I'm only going to be doing 120, and so I might as well just go into my Garchomp on the bench. Oh yeah, that's right, I do have 4. I'm dumb. I forgot that I had 4 rare candy, but I mean, I didn't see all 4 of them, or actually I probably did, I just overlooked it. But regardless, we are able to knock out the Alolan Golem. We get another Garchomp, and we have all the energy and a Lycanroc to be able to bring up something on the bench and knock that thing out next turn. I have Lucario to be able to get more Cynthias going. That way I can just consistently hit for 200 damage. And honestly, at this point, I really don't think there's much my opponent can do at all. I think we pretty much have the win right now, because I am able to go immediately into Garchomp. I can Bloodthirsty Eyes. I can even Lucario for a Cynthia to be able to hit for that 200 damage. And yeah, I mean, that was just kind of a complete body bag, unfortunately. But regardless, you did get to see both Garchomps do some work, and yeah, so that was the first match. Let's go ahead and try to find another one, and hopefully it's against something a little bit more meta, because I mean, that's ultimately what I am going for, just show off how this deck does against really good decks. So yeah, be right back. Alrighty, we have found another one against FalconFan02, and I was thinking a little bit about what I was saying about that last match in between, and I want to make sure that I wasn't coming off as like bad-mouthing people that don't have the cards necessary in order to build super competitive decks, because I mean, literally all of us have been there. I remember when I first got into TCGO, I basically had no cards apart from a couple theme decks, and I remember the first deck that I ever made was a combination of stuff from an Ampharos and a Gigalith theme deck. I mean, that was just what I had to work with, and so I want to make sure that like you guys didn't get the perception that I was bad-mouthing those people. I mean, if every one of us had to do it at some point, and I mean, if you're just getting into the TCG, I want to welcome you completely with open arms. I don't want you thinking that I'm bad-mouthing you at all. So I just wanted to make that very clear, but I was just making an observation based on what I saw from my opponent about what their deck seemed to be. So just wanted to clear that up. But regardless, I mean, my first turn was pretty standard. I managed to get a couple Riolu out. I decided to go a 2 Riolu. That turn, as opposed to getting like 3 Gible, because my board is actually really, really nice. So I have 2 Gible out, I have 2 Riolu, and I have a Rockruff for potential Lycanroc later. So I mean, my board is actually really, really nice. And double Lucario, I mean, 1 Lucario with a Garchomp is incredibly strong. 2 Lucario with a Garchomp is twice as strong, because, you know, one is half of 2, 2 is twice 1. But regardless, my opponent clearly did not have much of anything, because he did just attach to Drampa and then Big Wheeled, and it looks like we are up against a Venusaur like teched out deck with Drampa. I've actually never seen Venusaur and Drampa, so I'm interested to see how that goes. Ooh, here we go. So, how can I do this? So let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Pal Pad and the Brigette for... Okay, so this is actually going to be kind of tricky. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull off a turn 1 attack this turn. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to pull off a Garchomp, but regardless, I do want to get my Lucario up. And then let's evolve Gible into Gabite. I'm not going to be able to use Lucario, but then let's attach the energy, and then let's just Ascension into Garchomp. So this way I do have the Lucario, into an attack from Garchomp for next turn. But I mean, I wasn't able to do it this turn. However, I still was able to get a Lucario up and a Garchomp up, and so hopefully this allows me to get set up to where I can get more attacks off. And my opponent is actually building a kind of scary board. So it looks like it's Zoroark with Venusaur and Shining Genesect, which that's actually kind of scary. Drampa's going to be able to hit me for some good damage this turn, and so I need a DCE in order to be able to knock out the Drampa, and so I have a couple options with what I can do. So I can just Lucario into Cynthia and maybe hope that I can draw into another Lucario, or I can Lucario into Cynthia just so I have that set up for later in the game so that I just guaranteed have the 2 Lucarios as soon as I need it. But regardless, my opponent has a Venusaur set up, and this is going to be interesting. I actually have no idea how the Garchomp Zoroark matchup goes. However, I think it should be in my favor if I'm able to get set up quickly. However, Zoroark might be able to just run me over if he's able to get rid of my engine. But regardless, my opponent does not have any damage on the bench, so he's only going to be able to Berserk for 80 right now, and this is perfect. Wow. So I am just going to be able to I top deck into the Cynthia, which means that I'm actually going to get a knockout this turn. So I'm going to Lucario into DCE. Just because, because I top decked into that Cynthia, I'm able to play safe and I'm able to just get my setup and not have to worry as much. But for the time being, I'm going to hold off on getting that just in case I get the DCE, which I do. So that's actually really, really nice for me. And then let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the N and the Brooklet Hill, probably just to grab a Gible, or Gabite, but I don't have Gabite, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab Garchomp, and then Precognitive Aura, probably just grab a Rare Candy in order to be able to get my other Gible on the bench evolved into a Garchomp as quickly as possible. So yeah, now I have 2 Garchomp, I have 2 Lucario, and I have a Garchomp that is about to take a one-hit knockout on a Drampa. And so this is, I'm very, very glad that I decided to Lucario into Lucario, because this puts me in a position that even if this Garchomp goes down, I do have 2 Lucarios still set up in order to be able to grab just two of anything in my deck. And I do have the Choice Band in my hand as well to be able to knock out a Zoroark if my opponent, my opponent did just get it right there. So I have the Choice Band to be able to one-shot that thing with Garchomp, and then I have another Gible for when this Garchomp goes down. My opponent does have the Professor's Letter, so he will be able to Righteous Beating, knock out my Garchomp, and take a prize off that, but I will have an immediate response as well as an immediate Gible, and this is actually just working out very, very nicely for me. The double Lucario is insanely powerful. Just grab any 2 cards that you want in your deck, don't even have to use your supporter. That's just nuts, and then be able to hit for 200 damage. Like, when I first saw Garchomp, I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, being able to hit for 200 damage is actually really, really, really insane. But it just seemed like it was too situational, like having to use Cynthia that turn, you had to get it set up, and then Lucario, like, yeah, you had to have a Garchomp on the field at the same time. I just thought it was very, very situational. But the more I run into it, the more I play it, the more I'm just like, wow, this is actually pretty crazy consistent, especially with the 2 Lucarios and then Garchomp being able to take Okos, and then you don't even have to use Guzma because you can just pair it with Lycanroc. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and Lucario into a Cynthia to be able to one-shot this Zoroark. I'm going to hold off on my other Lucario until next turn just in case there's something that I draw that I would rather have. Okay, so let's see, what's in my discard pile? Do I want to just grab one, or do I want to shuffle 3? Hold on, let me check. Okay, so just a line of Gible through Garchomp. So I am just going to grab that Garchomp and put it into my hand, and then I'm probably just going to grab a Rare Candy with my Precognitive Aura. Like, I don't have anything right now that I necessarily need, but at the same time, wasting a Precognitive Aura is something that you don't want to do. If my opponent ends me, and there's not much I can do about it. But if I can go ahead and get the Rare Candy now, this allows me to still have 2 Precognitive Auras for next turn, and yeah, I just knocked out a Zoroark. I'm going to be in an amazing position. Get my other Garchomps as well off of my prizes. I didn't realize I had 2 prizes. It's kind of funny. But if my opponent plays down another GX, I can just evolve into Lycanroc and knock that thing out. So I'm in an amazing position right now. Like, my board is set up beautifully. Like, I'll be able to get up a second Garchomp next turn. Lucario's Precognitive Aura keeps me from being too susceptible to, I mean, don't get me wrong, N is still annoying, but it keeps me from being overly susceptible. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and Rare Candy into Garchomp, and then attach an energy there. I'm attaching a Fighting over a DCE just in case my opponent randomly has Enhanced Hammer, because, I mean, you never know these days, and it might as well just play that there. And then what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to bring up, I could bring up Venusaur, I can bring up Genesect. I think the play is to bring up Genesect because that's the thing that has energy, that's the thing that can one-shot me. And so I need to get that thing out of the way as quickly as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a Pal Pad with 1 Cognitive Aura from my Lucario, put back 2 Cynthias, and then I'm going to Precognitive Aura with this one and grab another Cynthia to be able to knock out the Genesect, but my opponent does scoop right there. So, I mean, that's, yeah, that was actually a really good game. Like, my opponent had a very, very cool deck. I mean, Zoroark is just awesome in any deck and can work with anything. And I mean, I've seen Venusaur Genesect, but I haven't seen Venusaur Genesect Zoroark, and come to think of it, that actually could be a very cool combination. I would be interested to see what my opponent's deck list is. But unfortunately, I am going to have to end that there. Exams are horrible. And, I mean, I still got 2 matches in which Garchomp was able to show off what it does. So I apologize for the short video. Hope you guys forgive me. But most of all, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out our Discord in the link, or in the comment section. Not the comment section, the description below. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.